Okay, William.
Okay, guys, welcome. My name is William Friedman, and this is Mr. Jim Glenn. We see
Hello.
Ann Glenn in the background. We will be your host tonight. Thanks for joining us. Jim and I and Ann are so happy that we have such a great following that you guys show up on Friday night as if you have nothing better to do, right? So, you know, it touches us in a really big way. So thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you. I want to send a special welcome out to each and every one of you. And you're the reason why we're here. This is our ASEA broadcast where we bring interesting and unique and mind-blowing perspectives about the science of ASEA, the business of ASEA, and real life-changing experiences to all of you. And literally, we are pushing genetic buttons in the body, and chemistry is responding in a healthy and beautiful way. You know, this technology, the first of its kind, activates the communication channels for healing inside human cells. And tonight, we're all going to hear how this amazing technology has impacted our special guest, and actually has impacted his family as well. And so tonight we have Mr. Mike Donato, and we also have Mom. We're gonna refer to Mom as Mom. And Mike is an ASEA athlete from Dudley, Massachusetts. Welcome, Mike, and also Dina. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. This is exciting.
This is really neat. This is really neat. And we also have Shannon, who's going to be sharing an amazing testimonial a little bit later. Hi, Shannon. Welcome. You guys, this is really a treat for all of us, and many of us perhaps saw Mike last convention in Dallas, and I can tell you he touched our hearts in really amazing ways, and certainly touched my life in a big way. And I think what I want to do is let's start with Dina, because Mom is the person that made all of this possible, and really probably the reason why we're here. And so, Dina, tell us how you learned, because you were the one that first learned about this technology, right?
That's right. And then when I started taking it, and I felt good, you know, and I mentioned to my son, and so I said to him, try this, and he says, oh, Mom, I'm taking a lot of stuff for the lifting weights and all that. So I said, no, just take it and try it and let me know. So he took it, but he didn't want to take it. So I made him take it, and so
no way, he's a little bigger than you are.
Yeah, and then he comes back for more, and I said, no, I can't give you for mine. I needed to. This is my own. So then I was giving him though. I said, yeah, this is, you got to take your own. So I was giving him some. I took my free boxes too that I had, so I was a little ahead. So I gave it to him. He says, that makes me feel good, and I have such energy, and I can lift more, and not hurting, my muscles don't hurt, and all this. And I said, oh yeah, and you taking the other stuff too? He started laughing, but you know, he was a little stubborn at first. So, but I made him take it. I forced it on him. Yeah.
Good for you. And we know you were just traveling.
That's what it was. Yeah.
You were just traveling. You've just returned from Greece, and you were saying you're from a little jet lag. So, well, thanks for being with us. This is such a treat.
Yep.
Such a treat. And Mike, you know, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. We'll probably have some other questions for you, Dina, as we move along, if you don't mind. So, Mike, hey, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
I'll listen.
Okay,
I'm
that
listening.
sounds great. That sounds great. Hey, Mike, there was something, you know, first of all, let's let everybody learn a little bit more about you. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and then we'll get into a really, I think, amazing part of your life where ultimately you realized that you had a life mission, that you discovered something new in your life, and I want to get into that next. But tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, well, I'm a married man and I have three beautiful children. And what I do for work is I'm in the manufacturing business. My father and my uncle started this company in 1984. And can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure you're good. Okay, good. And 84, they started the manufacturing company. I started working there, sweeping floors, and then went to trade school and learned the trade, machine shop, and started working there. And I've been there pretty much ever since. And I love what we do. I love the smell of cutting oil in the air. Probably not very good for you, but it's just something that when you're in the trade, you appreciate it. So, yeah.
Wow, fantastic. And have you always been an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, so my athletic training started with a lot of pain in my life. I was bullied quite a bit. Pretty much every day in school by one kid in the beginning, and then I got hazed pretty badly when I was my last day of 8th grade, and so I would have been a freshman the following year. So the soon-to-be seniors picked me and a bunch of other kids up and had their way, beat us up, roughed us up, made us do, just bullied us pretty bad. Embarrassing. Let's put it this way. It was very embarrassing. So, and I was never a big guy, big kid. I was, at that time I was probably 125 pounds, and I vowed to myself never again. And that's when I asked my my parents to give me a weight set, and I started lifting weights in the basement, and outgrew the weight set into another weight set, and just kept, that was my thing, I guess you could say, every day after school, pump and iron. And one of my biggest accomplishments was I went from 125 pounds to 135 pounds, and man, I thought I was unstoppable, and it was a huge boost to my confidence, and that's what got me through high school. Was just this, day in and day out of just working hard and building my body up. It gave me confidence.
Where do you live, Mike? What
So
part of
I live in Auburn, Massachusetts. At the time, I lived in Southbridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And Mike, tell us about how you realized your life's mission and how your life shifted after that.
So, well, we have our ups and downs in life growing up, and in 2008, it was a tough time in my life, personally, and I was able to get through that, and I made it. I literally wrote out a mission statement. I think you probably heard that at the conference. I mentioned that, and I wrote it out, and I live by it every day. It's my constitution, is what it is. It's mission statement, constitution, and what it is my great aim is to love others without others loving me in return. Period. So, no matter what you think of me, or no matter what's going on, or who it is that I may be in a conversation with, or trying to work with, and getting the resistance, or whatever the case may be, all that stuff doesn't matter, because you know what, I'm just going to love you no matter what, and whatever you think about me, well, it's on you.
That's great. And at some point, you started you started to become an athlete, and you decided to actually start running. And I heard that you didn't even like to run. Tell us about that.
That's true. I still don't like to run, honestly. So being in the manufacturing business back in 2009, I met a gentleman by the name of Dick Hoyt. He is, well, Dick now is 80, uh, 78, 79 years old now. And he pushes his son, or he was pushing his son at the time, Rick, in the Boston Marathon, Ironman triathlons. Amazing, amazing story. You definitely want to YouTube Team Hoyt. It's an amazing story. There's plenty of videos out there talking about them and showing what they've done, and interviews with the Hoyts. Amazing. So I saw him actually on a slideshow presentation at a seminar, and I was like, wow, that's so inspiring, you know. And just a couple months later, I pass him in a grocery store, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, you know, I got to say something to this guy. And my wife was with me, and my daughter was just a baby at the time. And I said, you know, that was the guy I saw in this seminar, you know. I want to go and approach him, but I don't want to sound like a fool, you know. And I was giddy, you know. It was amazing, you know. He's a local hero here in Massachusetts. So I ran across the parking lot as he was getting into his car, and I stopped him and I gave him my business card. And I just, again, this is shortly after that mission statement, to love others without others loving me in return. And I just offered him any kind of help he needed. I handed him my business card and I said, Mr. Hoyt, I know you push this running chair, and I know you ride your bike, and you do all these crazy things in these long distance endurance races. If anything breaks, you need anything fixed, we can do that. Any kind of metal you have, we can fix it. So we went on our way, and a year later, I got a page off of the shop floor to go into the office, and there he is. He's standing there, and I couldn't believe it, you know. So the caveat to that was he didn't need anything fixed. He needed a brand new, from scratch running chair built for Rick. Rick had just had spinal surgery, fused rods in his spine at the time, and Boston Marathon was coming up in a couple of months, and they tried putting him in his running chair that he had, and he was just in way too much pain. So he asked us to build a brand new one, and we took on the challenge, and it was a very crude and heavy model, but it made Rick comfortable, and they got through that Boston Marathon. And then shortly after that, they kept doing these other races, and he'd come back with the chair and ask us to tweak different things with it and make it lighter. And then shortly thereafter that, a couple months later, I'm in a bicycle shop, and I overhear this woman talking about her son, who was in this horrific car accident, hit by a drunk driver head on, killing her husband, her son's father, paralyzing him for life, her son. But he was down and out because he was fully active at 10 years old, doing everything: martial arts, soccer, basketball, baseball, any sport, he played it. And of course, now I'm eavesdropping because I'm hearing wheelchair, and we had just done this for the Hoyts. And so I interrupted, and I said, you know, do you mind if, what if we built him a chair? Would he be happy? I mean, would he enjoy that? And you know what, if we do that, maybe I can push him in 1 or 2 races, you know? And she was so excited. And those 1 or 2 races ended up being a whole gauntlet of races and adventures now. And that was around 2010.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
share a couple of
that's in my
pictures.
shop. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the remodeled chair, right?
Yeah. That's actually an older model of the new model, but that's our Blade. That's our Blade running chair, and we designed that running chair for the sole purpose of it comes apart and you can travel with it, so you can do destination races. So Kyle and I did the Disney half marathon. We flew down with the chair and a travel bag, and there we are. he comes to the shop, pops in, visits. We have a blast. We have a lot of fun, and that's our little caricature there. I don't know if anybody can see the cartoon caricature. We got wheel covers with that on there. And yeah, we just have fun. He's a great kid. Well, I call him a kid. He's I think he's 32 now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing so much.
Oh yeah.
You guys are competing in races, and it's just so exciting to see as I discovered these photographs, just realizing what you guys are doing. What are the typical races that you guys are involved with?
So we do a lot of local races. So you know what's interesting is Kyle is he's like a local hero because even before, you know, even before I met him, I had heard about this horrible accident, you know, when it happened when he was a kid. Um, and I kind of knew people that knew him or knew the family. Really didn't know them personally. And what the story that kept coming up was he was, you know, he was in a coma for a year. Didn't know what was going to happen. 1 year, a coma. I couldn't believe it. And it was, you know, it was just heartbreaking just from being on the outside, just thinking that this young kid, you know, this little kid was fighting for his life. And but it was unbeknownst to me that that was him, you know, when his mom was talking about this, you know, her son in the bike shop. I didn't know. A lot of these things came to me later. Yeah, in time as I heard stories and about him, and yeah, I was able to remembering things.
And so you're running and you're also swimming and
Yeah, yeah. So that's in one of the triathlon that we did. So I swim with him. There's a raft you see there. So I pull him. I tether the raft to me. So I pull him in the raft.
wow.
So I swim with him behind. That's his favorite part is the swim.
Uh-huh.
And then I pull him out of the raft and I put him in his chair. And the chair attaches to the back of my bicycle. So I'm able to pull him on my bicycle with the
Okay.
chair.
Okay.
And then after the bicycle transition, we detach the bike from it and I put the front wheel on the chair, and then we do the run portion of the triathlon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, this is very exciting and
What's
so
it?
you
Oh,
do
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt? Well, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
please.
but that guy that you see there in the picture. So we did this race, if I can recall right, for 6 fallen firefighters, and the gentleman there on the right, he's the assistant district attorney that prosecuted the drunk driver that killed his father.
Wow, 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 amazing. And so now there's a lot of these chairs out being used and really
Yeah.
making a difference, right?
Oh yeah, that's amazing. That's Team Hoy New England. It's just an amazing group. That trailer there is filled with those joggers that you see there in running chairs, and they roll up to a race, and basically um, they have many volunteer runners, and they put it out there. Anybody that's in need of a chair that wants to participate, come on down, and we'll push in a race.
Wow.
And there's many chapters like this throughout the world now. Lots, I mean, all over the US, but now we're seeing Australia. We've shipped chairs to Australia, to Ireland. Greece now has a team out there, which I'm very proud of. Just all over the world.
Wow, you're making such a huge difference. I love this. You know, dreams don't work unless you take action. The surest way to make your dreams come true is to live them, and you are certainly living them.
Well, you know, when you see pictures like this of Kyle and I with the quote, a lot of people misconstrue those. I do a lot of those photos, or his mom does, and honestly, those quotes are suggestive more to Kyle than to me.
Nice.
See, he's the one that wants to race. He determines which races we do, where we go. He want to do a half Ironman. All right, I'm on board then.
Hmm.
He's the heart and the soul. I'm just the arms and the legs. That's what happened. That's the way we are.
Wow. Fantastic. And what has ASEA meant to both you and to Kyle, if you can speak on his
Sure.
behalf?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, you heard from my mother. You know, Greek mothers are very persuasive. They bug you until you cave in, and and I'm glad she did. But the ASEA is fantastic for me. Recovery is huge for me. So right now we're gearing up for a couple of pretty intense races we got locally going that are going to happen. A lot of hills. So right now I'm doing 16 ounces a day, eight pouch in the morning, pouch at night. It's awesome. Um, Immediately after my first month, it was almost like to a T, you know, after I finished my first case, I'm like, man, you know, I had this nagging pain for a while in my shoulder, just overuse, you know, and it subsided for me. And it was interesting because it was always aching for quite some time with me, and it just was a nag to me. And that was the first notice for me. But then as we kept racing more and more, my training and the challenges kept becoming more and more with the races, especially this half Ironman that we just recently did. It was very difficult. My cardiovascular uh, capacity was just through the roof. Not trying to sound, you know, proud, you know, too proud or big-headed ego, but it's the truth. My cardio is through the roof now. Yes, I work hard, I work my butt off, but with the ASEA, I'm able to take it to that next level. And that's huge for me. And not only in the athletics, I'm up very early in the morning. I train extremely early in the morning, and I'm go all day. And from my past experience prior to ASEA, training, you know, I would train still early in the morning, and you know, come noontime at work, I'm just crashing. You know, I'm able to maintain until 11 o'clock at night when my head hits the pillow. So it's a life changer for me. With Kyle, he's so he had I'm trying to think when, might have been a year last year. It was last year and a half ago. I can't remember dates, but he had surgery on his spine. So he has hardware that's all tied in mesh and metal, um, keeping his posture up. You'll notice in some photos he's pretty twisted up from the accident. So, but the hardware was infecting his body. So the doctor said, "Look, we got to take this out." So he had a major surgery, pretty scary for us, you know. And after the surgery, after all the hardware was out, of course, he was bedridden for a few months, and he had this infection. It's like 2 inches deep, a hole in his back, and it was just pus and just pretty gross, pretty disgusting. And the doctor had, you know, gave his mother instruction to, you know, they cleaned everything out, but she said you got to keep cleaning it, gauze, and of course he had medicine. So she had called me and said, you know, that ASEA that you're taking, um, it's about cells, right? And I go, yeah, it's healthy cells. She goes, the doctor said something real interesting. The doctor said that Kyle has all sorts of dead cells around that wound, and I really got to keep it clean. And she goes, I'm willing to try anything. So I said, sure. So we, you know, I contacted at the time it was Lowry. She was our go-to person for corporate, and you know, I mentioned to her, listen, you know, this is Team Unstoppable. There's two of us. You know, can Kyle get on the product? You know, I think it's going to work. And his mom is really wants to, she's willing to try anything. So they sent them a few cases, and so he started drinking it. She was spraying it inside the wound, and she was using the Renew 28 on the outside, on the skin topically, and the doctor was amazed at how quickly it healed. She was amazed. She just said, whatever he's doing, just keep doing it. It's not hurting him. Keep going forward with it. And he loves it. And now his mom is actually drinking the product now too, because she's disabled. She can't work ever again because of the accident. You know, she's got plates and hardware all up in her arms. You can see the scars there, you know, they're so evident. And you know, of course, she has her aches and her pains and tough time sleeping. And she's been on the product now for a few months, and she absolutely loves it. So, yeah, it's just wonderful.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Dina, you must be really, really proud to know that you have an amazing son who's literally changing the world and really changing the world with Kyle and giving of himself to Kyle in a way that is just beautiful. You must be very proud.
Yes, yeah, I'm very proud of him. Yes, I am.
And Dina, let me ask you, how have you helped other people with the knowledge of ASEA?
Oh yes, the few. Of course, my husband was the same thing, stubborn too at first. He's a golfer, and he had he was taking Advil, 8 Advils a week, because he goes 4 times a week, 4 days a week. So, and then he started taking it without me realizing it. I said, listen, this is mine. I said, you got to order. So he ordered 5 at the beginning. At the first time, he ordered 5, the special that they had. And so now he hasn't stopped since then. And he, you know, he's okay now. Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's fantastic.
I have like some of my friends. I started with my family first, and then, you know, my friends and, you know, my sisters and like that.
And you've been watching people's lives change.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dina, how did you
And I
get
like to change some more lives.
how did you get introduced to ASEA? How long ago was that, and who did that?
See, my 5 years ago, I was about to babysit for my son's little baby, and I had a bad knee and hip and everything, and I couldn't go up the stairs. So my daughter-in-law and my son, they introduced me to a massage therapist that they used to go. They still go. And so I went there, and so she started talking to me about the ASEA. Of course, I had a massage too, and then she talked to me about it, and I said, she showed me the bottle, and I said, can I get one? I want to try it because I said, I can't move. How I'm going to take care of my grandson. And so she says, no, I can't give you this right now. She says, you have to sign up and or whatever. I said, okay, can you, after work, can you come to my house? She says, what about tomorrow? She says, I wanted it that day. So she did. And then I got it right away. And I started taking it, and I saw big difference, big difference in the pain and all that. So I'm taking care of him, you know, for 5 years now. So, and
Well done. Well done. Well done.
yep.
You know, Mike, we've got 81 people now watching this gathering, and there's probably going to be many hundreds or even thousands that will see this over time. What would be a message that you'd want to deliver in your experience and exposure to this company, the people in the company, and what they've meant to you in your life? What would be the message that you would relay to the people that might be hearing this perhaps for the very first time?
I must say that I refer to everyone that I meet in ASEA, whether it's virtually online or at a convention or in person, in my day-to-day life, is they're like my ASEA family. And that's the way I felt. The first gathering, the convention that I went to, not the one in Dallas, the one prior to that, near Pennsylvania, it was a smaller than the Dallas convention. And I was able to have dinner with, you know, the diamonds and the executive folks and a lot of corporate folks from ASEA. And I was blown away by the conversation that everyone was having. And yeah, it was the product and, you know, the business, of course, but the biggest thing, the most had conversation was just getting people more healthy. They truly believe in the product because the product works. I was impressed by that. That I I I knew I was in the right place, and I knew I was being sponsored by the right people. Hence, you know, I'm on board. I'm on
Mhm.
board.
You
Yeah.
know, it's such a unique culture. And I know in my entire life, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen such an amazing group of people. And you're right, it's family. We are all family, and we know it right away. And it's just it's so powerful and so incredible to be part of this, to be connected to this in whatever way we're connected, right? Whether we're just you know, in a part-time way, a full-time way, a big-time way, it doesn't matter. It's it's changing the world, I believe. I think we're all part of that change. And Mike, I know convention is coming up in September. And before we started, you were mentioning you're very excited to see some old friends. There's
Yeah.
going to be see athletes beside yourself there.
Yeah.
Tell us what this convention means to you that's coming up.
Well, I tell you again, it's the opportunity to just be in the presence of great, wonderful people. Um, I'm always looking for that. I'm always looking for positive connection. Um, that's why I'm really excited because I know that I'm going to find that, of course, from the friends that I met last year and the new folks that I'm going to meet this year. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And like I said, you know, I met you know, co-athletes, you know, Dexter and Sean and Cody and Bria and just amazing people, just absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to see them again. I was very excited. I was pumped. I was sharing, like, you know, when they were announcing, when ASEA was announcing who was going to be there for the athletes, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great, you know, because I didn't know. I was wondering, but I didn't know. And so I'd share it on my social, like, hey, look who's coming, look who's going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yes, and I'll be looking to find you
Yes,
and and shake your hand. I look forward to actually meeting you face to face.
I can't wait.
Yeah, awesome, awesome.
Hey, Mike, what would Kyle have you tell us? How important is all this to him?
Mm.
It's very amazing what you're doing as a human being for another human being. That's very, very, very deep and very touching. What would he want you to tell us?
It's not what happens to you in life. It's how you deal with it and what are you doing? What do you do after a situation might happen to you? Look at him, you know. I mean, most folks feel sorry for him. He doesn't feel one bit sorry for himself. He's living life to the fullest. He's that's what he would tell you. That no matter what, it's how you make it. How do you make that negative experience in your life, or how do you make a positive in your life even better? Because he's amazing. Yeah, he motivates me, he inspires me. You know, he's a proud uncle, third time now over, and he babysits. He's there with them. If you friend request him, you'll see Kyle Broder. He's a proud uncle. He's a proud brother, and yeah, he lives life to the fullest. He's out every day, and he does. Yeah, he has caregivers. He has personal care assistants, but he's sharp as a tack. He's just, you know, don't be deceived by the chair or his body. He's sharp as a tack, and you know, he dictates what he wants to do in his life. So don't throw a pity party on yourself. He'd tell you that too. Don't throw a pity party on yourself. Take action.
And Mike, can Kyle speak?
Yeah. So it's interesting because we have as you spend more time with him, if he can get enough air into his lungs, he'll be able to speak slowly and a bit louder. But if it's tough to get that air into his lungs, it's very slow, and you got to really listen, pay attention to it. However, he does have an iPad where he types away, and it activates the voice, so he can, he speaks his mind, and whatever's on his mind, he'll tell you. He has limited movement in his right hand. So, we have an interesting communication when we run. We got thumbs up, we got thumbs down. He does this, he'll do something like this, he'll do this. But over time, I remember in the early days, I'm sorry if I'm going rambling, but in the early days, he would make a noise, he would make a gesture with his hand, and I'm like, okay, what, everything okay? Or, I'd stop and he would just smile at me. I think he knew, like, don't worry, man, one day you'll understand what I'm saying, and he was just enjoying himself or making a comment. This one thing, it took me a little while, but if he loves his country, and he'll see an American flag. And it took me a while to catch on. I don't know why, but it took me a couple of years, because he would make this noise and he'd point, and I'm like, what are you pointing at? Like, what is it? What is everything okay? And he'd give me the thumbs up, and I would wonder. And then a couple of years ago, I managed to hear him say flag. And I'm like, is that what you've been, and I'd get confused, and he gave me the thumbs up, and he'd laugh, and so now I know whenever he sees a flag and he wants me to pull it, like we'll be rolling in a local 5K or 10K, and somebody will have a flag in their yard, and he'd want me to pull it out so he can hold it up for the finish. But I tell him, listen, we can't pull it out of people's yards, but we've pulled them out of public property, on Memorial Day or something. We find a flag, and our last Ironman, they had a row of flags. So, I don't know if you might have seen him on social when we were crossing the finish line at our latest Ironman. He had that flag, holding it proud, So,
Wow.
yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
Well, make sure you share with him that there's a whole bunch of us, right? Almost 100 people that are sending our best wishes, our best support, and just let them know that we appreciate your team, and the fact that he's a big part of your team, and let him know we said hello.
I will. Now, can I share this with him through Facebook?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Perfect. I will do. I will share it with him. He'll love it.
Well, good. So, Kyle, I'm just going to say hello to you. And so thank you for everything that you've given us. Thank you for the strength that you provide us. Thank you for the wonderful gift of sharing yourself with all of us, because you have made a big difference in many of our lives. And the fact that that you're part of this story, you are this story. We are forever in your debt, and just keep going. We're proud of you. We love you. And we can't wait to see what you guys do next. This is really, really exciting.
Thank you for that, William.
Yeah, you're welcome. Guys, we're gonna, Shannon's down at the bottom of the screen. And Shannon, thanks for being with us.
Hi,
this has been such a beautiful night. And Shannon, you're gonna top it off for us, because we know that ASEA has changed your life.
Yeah.
And I have actually no idea how. And so this is going to be the first for me. But to give us an idea of what you're such a beautiful young woman. Give us an idea often things don't appear, right? I learned a long time ago that I need to be talking to more people because we never know what's happening inside.
Yeah.
And so tell us what your life was like before you discovered ASEA.
First off, I think it's completely unfair to have me go after Michael because what I want to say for the record, if I ever make it to an executive rank, I want you to walk me across stage because you are seriously, hands down, one of my biggest inspirations. As I shared with you earlier, I work with lots of children and specifically some adults, but really my core of what I do in my job, in my day life, is working with children with a lot of challenges. So I am so grateful to have met you, to listen again. I talk about you often, which it's just inspiring what you do and how this all came about in a store overhearing a conversation. So I just want to put that out there for if I ever make it on a stage one day. So I want to start, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm a single mom of 2 children with some health stuff. And it's been really difficult. I've learned to just not hide that part. Lots of people know me as this peppy person and I'm energetic and I'm all these things, but inside I was dying. Sorry, normally the crying comes later, but apparently it's coming early tonight. I have 2 children that have a disorder where they suffer from seizures. Both of them, ironically, and with genetic testing, it shows no markers. But in specific, my daughter really suffered. And as a 2.5-year-old, she was having 7 to 21 seizures a week on medication on the same dose as her brother, who was twice the weight of her. And I say that because that's when life changed for me. That is the moment where I said, all right, I will try this other thing that I've said no to for months. I said no to, and here's why. My daughter was born blue. My daughter almost did not survive her birth. I'm not going off a script, so I apologize in advance that sometimes I tend to go places and forget where I was. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time because it happens when I don't have a script in front of me. But I'm just going to give you my heart, and I hope that's okay. So my daughter nearly did not survive her birth, and for the next 6 months, she was hospitalized at least 4 times for more than 2 nights. I say that because we were in the hospital a lot. So more than 2 nights for the first 6 months with upper respiratory, all these things. She just didn't have a strong enough immune system. She came a little early. She had a lot of complications. And then at 13 months, she contracted a really severe viral infections, mainly found in older people that go between nursing homes and hospitals often. We have no idea how she got it, but because of her suppressed immune system, it just happened. And finally, after the 2nd week in isolation, 2nd week in the hospital, the 7th day in isolation, we were basically told to call our family and to come see my 13-month-old, just in case. At that time, it was only me allowed in the room, even with scrubs and everything else. And that was hard. She has a brother who's 22 months older than her, and he couldn't come see his sister. Well, he could come to the window. And that was hard. And it was 3 months after that she was diagnosed with her medical challenge that causes her to have seizures. This little girl has been through so much, and I wish that I said this the way I wanted to. But let me tell you, at 2.5 months after finally throwing my hands up and saying, I can't do this anymore. I was in the middle of a separation, coming to the end of a separation. And Abigail had 3 days where she was vomiting and having seizures and vomiting and having seizures, and we could not get it under control. And the hospital couldn't let us leave because she couldn't even keep her medicine down. And it was at that point where I called my friend back and I said, all right, I'll try it. I am the hugest skeptic at this point. I did not believe it was going to work, but I had nothing left. And I just said, I'll do it. I'm going to give you 6 months. I cannot do what I'm doing anymore. Her medication was increasing every 2 months. This little time, and my child's, she is small for her age because she was early, but also was not hitting a lot of milestones that she should have. And I have this sweet little girl at 2.5 that is just suffering, and I could not keep doing the medication anymore. I couldn't. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And at about the mark of 3 months, by the way, so Abigail was 75% speech delayed. She did not have language. She did not have oral language. Receptively, I knew she understood. I could say, go get me the green ball. Abigail will go get you the green ball. She knew, but she could not say anything. I had speech in my house 1.5 hours every day, 5 days a week. I was singing instead of speaking because her seizures generate and stay in the left side of the brain. And on the right side of the brain is music and stuff like that. So I was singing, I was using sign language. None of this would reach her so far that I could see. But I knew that she knew what I was saying and what I was expressing. She just had no language, couldn't mimic sounds, which even when you're a year old, you start mimicking mama, couldn't do it. I'd get a guh at 2.5. So anyway, at the 3-month mark, all of a sudden something clicked and she started mimicking what I was saying. She could, with some prompts, ask for something with 1 or 2 words or sounds that I knew what she meant. And by 4 months, this girl, hi mama, like giving you something. And I say that because when we walked into her neurologist, that told me, you know, it's not going to hurt her, but don't get your hopes up. And she goes, hi, doctor. And her jaw dropped. This lady had no idea what to do with herself because she had never seen this before. And she is Abigail's like success story. And this is an old school doctor that was like, yeah, I'm not telling anybody about this, but she's watched this happen in my month 4.5. I said in my paperwork, because I would document everything. This looked like a seizure. This is how long it lasted. This is what time we ate this today, everything. At 4.5 months, I knew the last seizure, we're done. And she has not had a seizure since then. By the way, she just turned 6 on Wednesday. So she's been seizure free for, I think, 3 years now. The big thing here that I shared, if you're on a See a Healthy Self, research my name. And it's so exciting because I was at convention last year when her neurologist called me because 2 weeks prior, we did her MRI. And I was talking to the doctor about, I'm doing this. I want you to work with me and I want her off meds. And her doctor thought I was psycho crazy, which some people still do, right? But she said, I got to see her brain first, because another part of Abigail's story is we don't know where this happened or why, because she never had any sort of brain injury or anything. She had 85% of her brain in the frontal lobe, both sides have scar tissue all over the place. We have no idea. It's consistent of a traumatic brain injury. The only thing we can think of, the only options are from seizures in utero, from the birthing process, or while I was pregnant, I did have a student jam a desk into my stomach when I was 7 months pregnant. Pretty sure that's not why, but honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Worrying about that doesn't matter. Here's the deal. I got that phone call from my doctor personally to let me know that she could not believe it. She'd never seen anything like this, that at least 45% of the scarring disappeared. And the concern for her, in order to let us even consider going off meds for Abigail last year, was that her scar tissue stayed the same because she had just turned 5 at the time. And for those that don't know, and I certainly didn't, was this the younger you are and your brain stretches, her scarring should have gotten worse or stayed the same. Her doctor had never seen it decrease or get better. She's like, that doesn't happen medically. It doesn't happen. So far that she's seen. I'm making no claims here. So she said, okay, we're going to do this super duper 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 slow. I said, absolutely. I believe in this, but I am mortified out of my mind of what this is going to do. Again, already a believer, right? And we took 4 months to wean her slowly, 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 slowly. And in January 2nd, she was completely off meds. And it gets better because in April, she and her brother, I did it because I'm a single mom and I'm primary custodian. Both of the children have the same issue. I said, look, if we're going to do this whole EEG thing for 4 days at Children's Hospital, we're doing it together because I can't get a babysitter for that long. And for whatever reason, I couldn't rely on others at the time. So we did 4 days at Children's Hospital with both my children's hooked up. Seriously, look up my name because there's a hysterical picture and video for my children who think that they're doing an infomercial for ASEA. Like, my daughter thinks you can buy this in the store. It's hysterical. Anyway, that's where I delivered our news publicly that not only were they off meds, but the EEG for their 4 days and all these doctors coming in can say, hands down, there is no seizure activity. You are off meds. You are good. Whatever the heck you're doing, keep doing it, but we're not going to tell people about it. Okay. And now I have this 6-year-old who talks more than anybody in her class. God bless her new teacher this year, who is caught up. She was 75% speech delayed. This girl talks more than anybody, and she will sass you till no end. She is on par with reading. She is on par with writing. She's ahead of the game with math. I mean, this girl is incredible. And I know I'm out of time, but my son is just as amazing. Seizure medication worked for him. But what I will tell you very, very, very briefly, and I'm so sorry to take everybody's time. This kid who would take 2 hours a night with essential oils and everything else I was doing because I was losing my mind with this kid that would take so long to fall asleep, falls asleep within 7 minutes, is no longer taking any sort of anything for upper respiratory issues that would cause him to be in the hospital every month, and is phenomenal. He was on all these different programs for behavior and impulsivity and all these things. And I'm a special ed teacher by trade. And I had an ABA in my house every morning from 6:30 to 8 o'clock to get us through the morning routines. And within 8 weeks of taking ASEA, I lost that service, which I was scared because I was also a brand new single mom at the time when this was happening with my son, to losing the service where I'm like, I'm so glad he's doing well, but oh my God, I need another person in my house. To like, my kids are phenomenal. And I cannot tell you, I mean, everybody wants to hear about Abigail's story. I get called so much for 3 ways for her, but my son is the unsung hero here because I don't get a lot of calls about him, but I know his story has helped so many children in the educational setting that are all over the place, that need all these like checklists and everything. And he is so amazing, guys. My kids are amazing. And I cannot tell you where I think they would be without this product. Personally, my daughter, I don't personally think, it's not that I don't think she'd be alive, but she would be in all sorts of other programs without this. And I am so glad that this turned me from a skeptic to a true believer. And I'm so busy sharing with everybody else that I haven't even done my own business. The only reason I became an associate was to get cheaper shipping. I was cleaning houses on Saturdays in order to afford it for my kids. And it just is a life. I can't even tell you what a life changer this has been for me. And I'm sorry I went over time, but thank you so much for listening.
It's fine, Shannon. You know, you've given us so much, so you didn't take anything from us. You've given us all a great gift. I'm confident that what you shared will make a difference in other people's lives like it has been. And what, can I ask you what your son's name is?
His name's Logan.
Logan.
Actually, let me tell you, his name's Logan Giovanni, because I don't want to leave the Italian out.
Well, maybe they'll get a chance to see this. I'm not sure they'd understand it, but let them know that we send our best to them. They're Abigail and Logan are two really cool, amazing kids, and we're really proud of them. We're really proud of them.
Thank you.
Can you tell us how much you were giving Logan and Abigail?
So now they're taking 2 ounces twice a day. When I went through the MedWean, as I decreased meds, I increased ASEA. And I'm hoping, but willing to keep it where we are. I'm just not, well, we'll leave that part out. So they were on 1 ounce twice a day when they were on their medication. When they got sick, and there's no time to cover it, but Abigail she didn't get a cold. She got RSV, she got pneumonia. She got very, very sick. And then that's where some really severe seizures shaking and really scary seizures would take place when my child got sick. So when she got sick, then I would increase it for a week and then go back down. So right now we're between 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces twice a day. My hope is to eventually get back down to 1 ounce twice a day, but I'm just leaving it where it's working right now.
Awesome. Shannon, I also want to say to you, way to go, Mom. Way to go.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. And you know, it's the moms that I believe make the world work. They keep us in line. They love us no matter what. And we have 2 great examples with us tonight. So you guys, thanks for being with us. This has been so much fun. It's I'm sure going to touch a lot of people in really special ways. Mike, thanks for being with us. Dina, thank you for being on, even with your jet lag. And Shannon, thanks for sharing your heart. All of you, actually. Thanks for sharing your heart. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Can't wait to meet you all in person.
Pretty soon.
Yes, sir. All right, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
We will be back next Friday, same time, same bat channel. William, thank you.
You're welcome. Good night,
Have a
everyone.
great night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.